people believe that what happened was staged on the basis of how these people. What? Quick, what's your first thought? Is everyone okay? Thank goodness nobody is hurt. Wow. We need to talk about security. But in this like new world of make-believe, which we seem to have stepped fully into since the Charlie Kirk assassination, they want us to believe the normal thing is, this is why Trump needs a ballroom. Quick, Terrell, get the camera behind Charlie's head ASAP and use the chair that he just died in to do it. Violate the crime scene. Get the ballroom. Everything is about getting straight. And it also kind of feels like we're running into this moment when something is about to explode. They're becoming increasingly desperate because all of us have sort of had the skills removed from our eyes. And I will say that if, and it seems likely, if we are able to prove beyond a shadow of doubt that that moment was staged, really not going to be good for the MAGA movements, the Make Israel Great Again movement, Trump, everything his administration has become. I just think it's going to be really, really bad, and I don't see how they're going to be able to wiggle Erica Kirk out of another one of these narratives. Anyway, we'll be back after a brief break. All right, you guys, summer is here, which means longer days, more sun, more time outside, and honestly, it's the perfect skincare routine and consistent with something that actually works. A lot of people right now are exploring more natural options, especially ingredients like tallow. Here's the thing, not all tallow is created equal. Some parts of it to me taste like just simple skin tallow a bit much. That's where Mimi Skincare stands out. Their Sunshine Tallow Cream and Fuzzy Tallow Balm are formulated so the tallow closely matches your skin's natural lipids. It absorbs easily and actually supports so your skin feels nourished, protected, and comfortable, and never weighed down. If you've been thinking about trying a more natural approach, check out Mimi Skincare today at NimiSkincare.com and use code Candace10 at checkout for a special discount. That's NimiSkincare.com and promo code Candace10 at checkout. Also, I'll tell you guys about PDS debt. Are you working hard every day and somehow it still feels like your money disappears faster than you can earn it? Rising bills, credit card payments, and financial stress can make it feel impossible to get ahead. You this feels like you should be trying PDS debt because they can help. Minimum payments are not designed to get you out of debt. You know that. They're designed to keep you stuck. PDS debt is the way out. They can reduce up to half of what you owe on credit cards, personal loans, and medical bills. And start with a free 30-second assessment.
You finally.
PDSdebt.com/Candace, PDSdebt.com/Candace. So I will add, if you were a part of the digital team that received that video, sounds like there were a few people who received that video. You, again, I will say 10K, no questions asked. I will protect you as a source. More tips at CandaceOwens.com. Looking for who were the digital teams that were involved in getting that video out to the public. 10K, no questions asked. Even if you are a complete and utter sleaze, and I'm on a different side than you are in this, I will still pay the money and never tell people that we ever spoke. Anyway, moving on, as I said earlier at the top of the show, Israel is at war with American minds. They really do believe, and this is what's most fascinating, is that it's just a certain amount of money that they need to spend, right? There's a certain amount of money that they believe they can spend, which will outright purchase our perspectives. Psychological games are being played, and to their credit, they have almost outright purchased Washington, D.C., right? The money given to congressmen from AIPAC to get them to prioritize Israeli interests over America's sons and daughters, never-ending wars. A great example of that is occurring right now. Thomas Massey was, for a very long time, been my favorite congressman because he consistently votes against sending our money overseas. And he cannot be bought by AIPAC. He declines that sort of bribery of Israel. And so what do they want? They want him unseated. Trump has made, he's very vocal. He's teaming up with AIPAC to unseat an
it.
Well, it didn't come from regular people. It's come from billionaires, and 95% of it, at least 95%, has come from the Israeli lobby. So I'll give you their proxies. The RJC, which is the Republican Jewish Coalition, AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, Miriam Adelson, Paul Singer, and John Paulson went together. They funded a PAC called MAGA Kentucky, which is neither MAGA nor Kentucky. But yeah, they live, you know, who are those three people? They have been, Miriam Adelson is the gambling magnate who ironically makes money from the Chinese now gambling and not in Las Vegas. She's clearly in Israel. Yeah, she was born there. Yeah. She's given over $200 million to the president. He puts her on the stage. He says that she's influenced his own policy and attitudes toward Israel. And so she's trying to buy a congressional seat in Kentucky, along with the rest of these groups that are probably, by the way, getting her money as well. And there's also another interesting faction called Christians United for Israel. They're really just another wing of AIPAC and RJC that's been used to co-opt Christians into supporting their position. And their position is more war, it's more strife, it's more bombs, it's send more foreign aid, and those are the things that I've been voting against. So the real reason that this race is a serious race and I may lose is because a foreign lobby is fully funded to the extent that they've never done in any Republican race ever before. My opponent.
Well, Miriam's defense, she outright purchased White House, why wouldn't she be able to afford a congressional seat from Kentucky? That's what she's thinking. She's like, yeah, we've got money. We have to cover this stuff because you have to be aware. This is what's happening in schools. They want to change the definition of what anti-Semitism is. It basically means noticing what's happening, what this foreign country is doing. This is a takeover. America is occupied. There's no question at all that our government is occupied, that Trump's administration is completely occupied. They are not serving the American people. This is despicable. It shouldn't happen. If you are in Kentucky, vote for Thomas Massie. I am going to hope and pray that he wins. Anyway, you guys, switching gears, I guess it's kind of a part of this as well. This is the same kind of money that goes into PR, public relations. We have seen it. That's a big piece of this Charlie Kirk story, is the nastiness of the PR, the war on our minds, trying to convince us that this Tyler Robinson story makes sense. It simply doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't make any sense. We all know it doesn't make any sense. We're going to pretend it's all because of Candace Owens trying to free Tyler Robinson. We're trying to get you to tell us a narrative that makes sense outside of fed, sloppy text messages, full-blown confession coming from a kid who is supposed to have like a 4.3 GPA, I believe, in high school. This is interesting to me. Obviously, we start to see that they're all fumbling all over the place. Andrew Colbert being at the center of that, the dirty tricks that he's getting caught working with these YouTubers and these really nasty people. He's been working with her. That was revealed a few weeks ago. Totally unstable, manic alcoholic. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from her former employees, people who have worked with her and know her, and also in part coming from her husband. So this is just hilarious. And I told you guys this backstory of this conversation that I had with Andrew Colbert back when things were good, when he called me and he asked me, and in earnest, if I was a witch, because he saw that when people attacked me, the rate at which something sort of boomerangs into their life is pretty fast. He was speaking about the Daily Wire. He was talking about Dennis Prager, I think it was specifically, who had written this whole thing about me publicly, and then he fell down the stairs. Obviously, that actually is very sad. David Horowitz, I believe, did this whole big piece, and then very shortly thereafter, which was also very sad. I saw this recently. Alexis Wilkins, which this was just funny, did that whole weird thread about Russia and General Flynn and me and the Catholic Church all working together because she didn't understand what a retweet was. The day after she did that, Kash Patel's emails got hacked. It was super fun.
Oh shit.
Well, anyway, House and Habit
Oh,
has been
faggot.
the one attacking my husband, as of, not as of recent, like over the last few
I'm in a
weeks.
secret
He is
club,
the
but
one
not really.
that
Who
posted
lives in
that
stupid
totally freakish,
Fucking
obviously
dumbass.
fake AI photo of George wearing a silk shirt. Here it is. It just doesn't even look kind of real. With Milo, because she's just
What a
claiming that he's
stupid
gay.
faggot that guy
Milo,
is.
of course, had never met my husband when they lived in London at all. They did not run the same circles.
That's all totally
Also, it was just
scripted.
terrible to imagine George wearing a silk shirt under a sports coat. That was the worst part of all, right there.
Right on a fucking
But
script.
these are the people who are just dirty and will do these sorts of things. They're desperate for anybody that will support
America,
Israel.
the TV show.
And the rebound of this, boomerang of this, Daily Mail did a massive spread
Eat your
today
goy
on
slop.
her marriage and what's
Went
going
the
on
other
behind the
way.
scenes. And this is the headline. Daily Mail is very savage about doing these sorts of things, but they wrote MAGA influencer House and Habit's marriage secrets revealed. Insiders blow the lid on explosive escort claims. Socialites call her effing insane behavior and her husband's mortifying texts regarding her, which they published. Well, how did this come about? I guess they got interested because House and Habit did the thing that she always does. It's 3 a.m. and she just randomly decides to attack someone. And that someone, her name is, that she attacked was Ashley St. Clair. Jessica Reed Krause is House and Habit's real name, by the way. She randomly attacked Ashley St. Clair, who she used to be friendly with. Because it's Tuesday and she's drunk, right? And
Pumpernickel Fidoozy-sicle.
Like, what the heck is this about?
Pumpernickel Fidoozy. There we go, Pumpernickel.
Out that her husband was on some hooker website. Now,
wow.
I didn't know this,
awesome.
But apparently there is a website where hookers can rate their clients. So they can signal to one another. It's about staying clean and safe, I guess. They can signal to one another that the person requesting services is safe and not going to beat them up, or some crazed person, so they rate them. And Jessica Reed Krause discovered that her husband was on the site and confided in Ashley St. Clair. And so Ashley St. Clair just went ahead and spilled all the tea after she randomly caught a midnight, 3 a.m. period between that time bullet from House and Habit after too many drinks. So the Daily Mail did their due diligence. They went ahead and confirmed that the review was real, that it was his number. And I have to also just say, it was a nice review, right? This is from the article. The article says, there his number was with its own review. Quote, he's a white man, safe to see, and brought a donation as agreed. Read the post from October 5th, 2024. Krause became distraught. She left the table, St. Clair told the Daily Mail. I'll never forget watching your face as we read those reviews and you did the math, and the review was while you were out of town. The Daily Mail spoke to House and Habit. Jessica Reed Krause did not deny the incident, but she disputed the characterization of it, telling the Daily Mail that her husband's number appeared on the app because as a public political figure, her family is targeted by spammers, and that she was confused at the moment, and she had no idea what it was. She has photo evidence that actually, and guest witnesses that prove that her husband was actually at a friend's wedding when the review was posted. I don't know about that, guys. I don't know if she said the account was inaccurate, designed to inflict harm and embarrassment on myself and my family. Girl, you do a pretty good job of that yourself, actually. They also spoke to her husband. He said the number was his, but he wasn't really certain how it ended up on the Mr. Number app. Elsewhere in the article, though, it gets to kind of the meat and bones of it, and it's her husband's text messages that he sent to other people about the state of their marriage. And it's really sad. It's actually really sad. It's what we see demonstrated in her behavior just online, generally speaking. It's about how she treats him, how she yells at him, calls him effing lazy. It's a perfect profile on sort of the destructiveness of who these operators are that are hanging around the White House and going after people, drinking so they can get into, Mar-a-Lago, completely sloshed and willing to try to inflict harm. Her co-workers described her as a manic drunk, highly abusive, gets high on the abuse, and it really just, you zoom out and you go, these are the people that Turning Point is now dealing with. This is who Andrew Colbert has running his PR, or a piece of his PR going out to these certain people. Why would you work with these sorts of dogs if you didn't want to get fleas? You know what I mean? And it's when people are in a state of desperation, when no one wants to partner with them or work with them or believes in them anymore, and they can't do things the clean way and the right way, they resort to these sorts of mystical people who take swipes at people because of what's going on in their own home. They're always in glass houses, and it really is just remarkable. And I just think it's a real reflection on the state of politics today. And I just thought, man, that couldn't have been more of her perfect karma after all of the crap that she was putting out about my husband, who has nothing to do with DC. Me, who has nothing to do with DC, I have nothing to do with the White House. I'm completely embarrassed that I supported Trump in the past because of, you know, the fact that he completely flipped on his entire base. It used to be cool to wear a MAGA hat. No one would be caught dead wearing a MAGA hat nowadays. I guess maybe you could say the MAGA movement might be caught wearing a MAGA hat nowadays, but certainly not old MAGA, old school MAGA. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say about that. I'll be right back after a brief break. All right, you guys, are you doing all the right things for your health, but still wondering if there's more that you could be doing to support healthy aging?
Wow, for the ones that Nancy gets the props.
A science-backed supplement built around C15.
Some of them other assholes fudge stuff like, no, it's there, but Nancy actually flashlights, so you don't even
when working with the U.S. Navy to improve health of aging dolphins. Researchers later found out that low levels of C15 may impact how well our cells age and function over time. That's important because healthy cells form the foundation for long-term wellness, including energy, sleep, metabolism, and even cognitive health. Fatty 15 was developed to support healthy aging for all, from kids to parents to grandparents. That's why award-winning Fatty 15 is now available as pure capsules, delicious apple mint gummies for teens and adults, and yummy berry blast gummies for kids. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Candace and using code Candace at checkout. That's fatty15.com/Candace. I also have to tell you guys about the Courage Store. There's always a new health scare making headlines, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to protect your health and stay ahead of it all. One thing more people are focusing on right now is gut health, because your digestive system plays a major role in how you feel every day, from energy and focus to overall wellness. That's where Purge, their advanced parasite cleanse, comes in as your essential line of defense. Countless chronic illnesses and diseases are all linked back to parasitic infections. Purge is a professional-grade, all-natural and organic formula designed to hunt down and flush out the invaders that we encounter every single day. When you sign up for a subscription today, you'll get a free Toxie Binder, which is their premium toxic waste detox, included in your first subscription order. It's the ultimate one-two punch to clear out the parasites and detoxins that sit inside of your gut. Visit purgestore.com/Candace or use code Candace.
What the fuck was that shit? You stupid bastard. They gotta move the lockers away from the fucking windows, man. At least some fucking stoned that could laugh at it this time. Instead of want to punch the fucking wall. God damn, man. What the fuck?
Anyway, top from yesterday's episode, they wrote next they'll accuse Candace and George of being 2 weeks away from developing nuclear weapons. I don't even know what they can throw at us anymore. I feel that way about Tucker too. I'm just like, okay, I feel like they've said everything, and there's a freedom in that when people say everything, because it just gets beyond ridiculous. Design Rhythm writes, the fact that Erica didn't fire every single security officer and sue their company is the biggest red flag in world history. Well, actually, it's reminding you that she did tell me they were preparing lawsuits against Brian Hartford. And that doesn't seem like that happened. And as I showed you yesterday, there seems to be evidence that actually Andrew Colbert might have been in some sort of communication, maybe all the YouTubers.
Damn it. You got me.
There definitely seems to be some evidence that is true. That
You got me. You little bastard. Check out me, lad.
Without them knowing. We'll see.
Get back here, give me back me shillings and a bit of markings.
Chucky. Yeah.
Surgeon said that he had a steel neck. That feels like every reporter should just be demanding every
Alright. Spend my points.
She would lie and write, and that would lie, and they would put words in the surgeon's mouth. Why she would say that
Slave
Angela
while you
Rover,
wait.
she actually initiated the phone call, just
Wouldn't that be
three-way phone
nice?
call. Like,
Wouldn't that be good?
why are we being gaslit about that? That's weird.
Invert that. Flip
That's
that
weird.
around.
right? That would definitively be number one. Number two, AI Charlie. I'm sorry, no reporters are interested in that. That'd be pretty relevant if they cooked up a whole story about how Charlie, just before he died, pulled a complete 180 on his viewpoints on how he wanted his wife to stay home and raise the children and have a fulfilled life, and suddenly was like, you know what? No, actually, if I die, I want you to take my place and also risk your life so that you might die and our kids will be left alone as orphans. Like, that doesn't feel good. It sounds like AI. They said they had a video. They're not presenting the video. Donors are saying that the video is completely AI and they were present and Charlie never said that. Like, how is that not the most viral #1 story in the world? At least in America, that his wife could have faked something like that. Maybe she didn't. The video would certainly clarify it. Anyway, I'm definitively going to say on about that. Let's get to some of your comments pertaining to today's episode. We have Kelly Martini writes, I pray Charlie keeps visiting your dreams, reveals everything that you need. Peace to process, facts to find, for being his David. God bless your friendship. It is everlasting. He knew it would be you. We love you and we all miss Charlie dearly. He was a magnificent light to this world. He certainly was, and I miss him too. I miss just being able to banter with him about certain things, about certain people. I miss his sense of humor above anything else, and I will always resent that has not come across the public from his friends. Like, they just sort of turned him into this, I don't know, bot almost. Like, all he cared about was this, and it had no flavor. It just wasn't the real Charlie. Charlie was very layered, very funny, very good at doing voices. That's another thing. Very good at mimicking voices. Like, he could just do anyone's voice. It was kind of an incredible talent. I can't remember why he told me that. I think it's something when he was young or something. But I think he was always practicing voices. But anyway, Day-Gen Jean writes, Candace, let's gamble. Thank you for all you do, Crisis King. I think we do. I'm not a person who gambles. I don't bet, right? I don't love that industry altogether, but I think this time I might just have to go to Vegas, figuratively, and gamble, give a little bit of money. If I lose it and I get suckered, oh well. I think the video's precious. A very precious piece of this story, if we can confirm that this was an entire op. So I'm with you. Dan Dangler writes, appreciate you.
Ding dong dangler.
Writes, I love that TPUSA doesn't let facts influence their opinions. That takes serious dedication. Insert sarcasm. You, Baron, Tucker, Ian, and more have to keep telling the truth. Christ is our truth, and y'all are our warriors. Love you from Houston. Thank you so much, Monica. Sarah Lorette writes, Candace, may God continue to bless you on this journey. My daughter Madeline and I love listening to you together and pray for you often. Today is her 12th birthday, and her one wish is to have a shout out from my favorite podcaster. Christ is King indeed, go Max. Madeline, or Madeline, happy birthday. That was actually in the running for my daughter's names. I was very keen on Madeline. I love Madeline. It's such a good thing. And my husband overruled me. We love police. Madeline, really good name. You have a great name. So, happy birthday to you. Looney Tunes writes, in case you need a bit, that's you said you can't afford to sue your hands off of Jeremy Boring. Here you go. Thank you very much. And we'll be running from them for the rest of the life.
Damn it!
Certainly right. Good aim to right in those two. The last hiatus.
Damn, I was dodging two of them pretty good there. And I feel like they're a duo too. When they're working together, you don't even need to talk to do it. Playing together for a while. And no longer show the think there. That was an interesting test. And Rusty's. And Rusty's a thing I am anymore. Especially after that 2-minute run yesterday. The day before. I think yesterday.
I think I'm boycotting wrong. It's just amazing, and it really shows that these sorts of nasty campaigns don't work anymore. I mean, what are they fighting, actually? Sometimes I just get so exasperated. It's like, why are you upset that I'm actually mourning my friends who got murdered and I want to have real answers?
Oh, you gotta run two at the same time. That really teaches you to fucking think on your feet.
The Hartford helps mid-size and large companies manage key exposures with insurance and proactive risk solutions, so focus can stay where it belongs. Visit thehartford.com/risk mitigation to learn more.
Everyone can see what this is. No one is buying this. Erica Kirk is grieving. So why do you keep saying it? Like, just stop saying stuff. Just stop saying stuff. the words coming out of your mouth, everyone can sense that you're bought, you're paid for, there's no truth in you. Like, you keep ignoring the fact that she's a public figure, that she chose to be this public figure, that the excuse she gave us of her husband doing some 180 has been called into question, incredibly, from donors. I always thought it was weird. I would get vibes, you know, it's like the White House correspondence, and my vibes like, not passing the sniff test. This is donors saying it never happened. You guys are going to keep lecturing us because people who are not grieving at all, who attended his memorial and were talking about merch and sales and dress like they were going to the Kentucky Derby. That's the thing on Alex Clark. People that were wearing high boots and standing over his memorial sites. Like, we're supposed to believe those are people that really love Charlie. You're upset because you got beat by authenticity. Call it out. You blame me, even though I was the last to arrive to the party, that Erica Kirk was off. Because I didn't want to even visit that. I couldn't even process that. I actually needed Erica Kirk to be real and authentically grieving more than other people needed her to. I needed that because I didn't have Charlie. I needed to believe that he at least died with the one thing that he wanted most. Our every conversation was about me chasing girls, obviously pre-Erica, like that he wanted to have that companionship and that love. And so for me to have to get to the point where I am questioning whether he was completely manipulated from the very first time that he sat with her, that was hard for me. I had to be prepared and willing to grieve that as well. Grieving knowing that he died and potentially didn't have that one thing that he wanted. Yes, he cared about family life more. He did believe the words that he said about women staying home and raising kids and adding more value, and that men should be the ones working these ridiculous hours. So, color me shocked that he would have changed his mind for something that he said for years in the last, in the 2 weeks leading up to his death. Color me shocked. U.S. rights, I only get to admire Charlie. May he rest in peace. Yeah, I really do wish that everyone could have known him and before he died. Like, yeah, getting to know him posthumously. But you know what, I was saying there's so many videos out there of Charlie, but I know they took a lot of them down. I do wish that they would put up the real Charlie. You know, he was a lot more than just a kid that was debating on college campuses. You know, maybe when his parents and his sister are, which I think probably done, but when they're sort of ready, they'll start sharing photos of his childhood and things like that with the public. You hope for it. You never know. They've always been exceedingly private, but I think about them often and know that they're truly amazing. I'll leave it at that. Crazy Cat Lady, love that. I love cats. Writes, can we get a George is the real gangster? We gotta do something. I'm convinced he's just like English stuff. Like, he doesn't even have social media. He doesn't even know what goes on. He doesn't even watch this podcast. He's like my priest. I have no idea what happens in his basement. I'll do my best. I'll work on it. Coco goes off, writes, please make an anti-feminist hat. Thank you for everything you do to fight for freedom and truth. Oh, regarding the people who watch this show who are feminists, I'm challenging you to join the book club and go through this book that we're starting next week. My book. Really excited about this one. As you guys know, Make Him a Sandwich. You guys can get it on Amazon. You can get it. It'll be slightly cheaper if you go to MakeHimASandwich.com. And the people who are writing is saying that they started the book and it's hilarious. And I said it's
Damn, he's mad at
this
me.
weird rap battle.
He's trying to tunnel me now. Holy fucking shit, dude.
A little spat. And then I was very shocked because Cardi B was like, why don't you go make him a sandwich? And that is how this whole idea.
Don't hide in the fucking corner.
This Cardi B rap battle. Any book that starts the rap battle is going to be fun.
Oh.
So join the book club, and while you are on the website, buy some merch. We've got some great merch. Fun merch. Maybe we'll have some new George merch. And if you get some, we'll do my best. It's the easiest way to support the show, the easiest way to support independence so that we don't have to rely on corporate media. Really, I love being free, never going back the other way. Last comment from Dan Sully writes, between insane lawsuits, propaganda, and flat out lies, these people are grasping at straws, keeping them with truth and evidence. We all know that you are honest and they are afraid of the truth. Oh, we're gonna win. I keep telling you that. As sure as I knew that Charlie was betrayed, I also knew some things, I guess, are truly metaphysical. Anyway, you guys, that is all that we have for this week. Again, if you have any tips pertaining to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, 10K, no questions asked, even if you hate my guts. It's fine, I will never reveal it. We can continue to hate each other forever. More tips at CandiceOwens.com. See you guys on Monday.
Some follow the noise. Bloomberg follows the money. Because behind every headline is a bottom line. Whether it's the funds fueling AI or crypto's trillion-dollar swings, there's a money side to every story. And when you see the money side, you understand what others miss. Get the money side of the story. Subscribe now at Bloomberg.com.
Enjoying it. Yeah, why can't I watch this one? What's wrong with this show on here? It's not working.
Then we talk about how we, the people, have to solve these problems around the world. Sometimes we also have real talk. Real talk is 520 minutes of real talk. And then we have...
Folks, fasten your seatbelts because things are about to get weird. We truly live in a crazy world. And this story, well, you're not going to believe this one. Now, this is a story that I covered back in 2016, and it was actually my first viral video. Now, we all know that there's no such thing as fairies.
Ghosts.
At least not the cute ones. There are no tiny, pretty women flying around tending to the forest. We know this. But, like I always say, truth is stranger than fiction. If a creature like this did exist on our planet, then I can assure you that it wouldn't be the least bit attractive or nice, or sprinkling magic fairy dust everywhere. It would probably try to bite, sting, and stalk you. Yes, I'm talking about fairies from hell. Now, right now you can go on the internet and find dozens of photos and videos of all types of small, weird-looking creatures. Some of them are hoaxes, some are photoshopped. Well, today we have AIs, so some are AI. Some have been pieced together with parts from different animals to look authentic. And then there's the small percentage that cannot be explained. In other words, the creature is or was a real creature, at least as far as we can tell from where we are. Now, back in 2016, I was talking about the discovery of a tiny corpse, a dead body 9 inches tall, humanoid with wings. And what makes this corpse interesting was not that it was x-rayed to reveal a complete skeleton. But the story back then was it was shot down with buckshot. It was supposedly found lying along the side of a road in Mexico by a young boy just minutes after it had been shot. And whoever shot it took off. And probably for good reason. I mean, if I had just killed something that had a human-like face with sharp teeth and a tail with a stinger, I probably wouldn't hang around there either. And from that short description, it does sound like something that came straight out of the abyss.
Oh shit, actually.
It came out of the smoke
Damn.
locusts upon the earth.
Good call, man.
And unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented in their hearts. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion, who striketh them. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron. And the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails. And their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. Now, I for one truly hope John was speaking symbolically. The last thing we need is a bunch of little flying demon fairies going around paralyzing people and then slowly eating them alive. By now, everyone should know that people find all types of weird creatures washed up on the shore, in the woods and caves. They find big skeletons, they find tiny skeletons. People have seen mothman, ape men, giant men, fish men, alien bodies. They've captured footage of aliens, Bigfoot, sea monsters, ghosts, vampires, dwarves, leprechauns, goblins, ghosts. The point is this. That story about the fairy creature was laughed at. It was discredited and disregarded.
Oh shit, I turned to a flash letter. That was dope. Thank goodness he's AFK, huh? Thank you, buddy. Props. And on the rift outfit too, that's amazing. Some people going to cookies, so touching a generator, not knowing you're AFK. One can only dream. I hope.
That had a lot to do with the Tinkerbell fairy image we have locked in our heads. Just to distort the truth, right? Anyway, originally, in older folklore, fairies were supernatural beings connected to nature, spirits of the dead, ancient gods, hidden realms, trickery, and danger. Many of those stories describe them as human-sized or shapeshifters that were dark, capable of harming, abducting, or deceiving humans. They were associated with forests or mounds, caves, rivers, crossroads, places believed to have a spiritual or supernatural history. That last image of this tiny flying fairy with delicate wings came around much later through literature and art. And then from there, fairies were thought of as harmless, magical beings. The origins or mythology come from the fae or fair folk, Germanic elves and nature spirits, the French medieval fae, unseen spirits, and Norse mythology of elves and hidden beings. In medieval Christianity, fairies were reinterpreted as fallen angels, demons, wandering spirits, or pagan supernatural beings, pretty much what most Christians would think of them as today. Now, the strangest thing about fairies are the connections that you can make with their history, starting with fairy abductions. The legends that come from Ireland and Scotland, people believe that fairies would kidnap humans, especially infants, mothers, musicians, people traveling alone, right? And these people would sometimes be replaced with changelings that would be left behind to imitate the abducted person. Think about the symbolism in recurring themes of stolen children, hidden beings, and deceptive entities. And you can imagine back in those days, the crazy stories people would come up with to explain what happened to their missing child. Of course, today, people don't say fairies took their kid. They just say they don't know what happened to them, right? But then there are the fairy mounds. Ancient burial mounds believed to be entrances into hidden realms beneath the earth. People feared disturbing these places or building over them or even approaching them at night. In parts of Ireland, roads were sometimes rerouted to avoid damaging these mounds because the locals feared terrible things would happen. Many of you have heard of the Hopi tribe and their stories of the ant people, right? Mysterious underground beings said to have sheltered humanity
A lot of
beneath
folks
the
must
earth
be on
during
death or
ancient
something.
cataclysms. The Hopi described these beings as highly intelligent entities connected to subterranean realms and hidden chambers. And when you think about it, if these are the same types of beings, an incentive to save humanity if they relied on humanity to provide them.
Go ahead.
Right? The common theme across different cultures is the idea of underground civilizations, hidden entrances, which, interestingly enough, is also associated with real human trafficking today. There are stories of humans that were lured into underground halls filled with music, beauty, and enchantment. And if they return in centuries, with alien abduction experiences or altered states of consciousness. Let's not forget how these ancient descriptions remind us of entities described in the book of Revelation. Beings emerge from the abyss or somewhere inside Earth with human-like faces, hair like women, teeth like lions, iron breastplates, wings that roar like chariots, and tails like scorpions. And fairy stories also describe beings with glowing eyes, sharp teeth, clawed hands, distorted movements, insect-like voices coming from somewhere inside the earth. Predatory or otherworldly creatures, all the same, right? In Scottish mythology, there's the Slua, which is a hostile fairy spirit said to travel through the night sky in swarms, searching for souls to steal. People were warned to keep windows facing west closed at night so the Slua couldn't get in. Again and again, we have stories of hidden parallel realms, deceptive humanoid beings, abductions, strange rites, forbidden food, entrances within hills or caves, and entities that appear beautiful at first, but eventually reveal themselves to be monsters. And the most disturbing part about all of this is whether it's non-human entities or real-life human beings doing these things to other people, they're all monsters. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that. And the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown.
They're probably hiding in fucking lockers and shit.
Now there is something about our ancient past that many people still question, and that is this. Did giants really exist on Earth, and do they still exist today? First, we must keep in mind that the stories of giants are told in many ancient cultures, and across many of those cultures, they were known to be gods, demigods, or creations of gods. One of the most commonly known stories and believed stories is that of the Nephilim in the Holy Scriptures. As the story goes, and I'm going to try to be as biblically accurate as possible, this story begins with the angels of heaven and the sons of God, messengers. Now, we don't know how many of them there are, but we do know biblically that there are well over tens of thousands of them. We understand that there is a hierarchy within their population and that there are different types of angels within that hierarchy. We also understand that these angels have the ability to interact with human beings and have done so since man's inception. Now, during the days of Adam, at that time the number of people on the planet was very small, and one of the angels, who we describe as Satan the devil, has already rebelled against God, saying that not only can he turn man against God, but that he can cause man to worship him instead. Understand, folks, that this is all about the attempt to overthrow God, which these angelic beings should have known was impossible, but they followed through with it anyways. So as the human population increased, there was a group of angels, which many of you know as the Watchers, through a twisted rebellion, thought it would be a good idea to just trash the earth, to ruin what God had created, the earth and everything in it, all in an attempt to destroy God's creation in his face, materializing into men so that he could start families with human women and genetically manipulate everything else that moved on the earth. Now, in the book of Enoch, which was omitted from the biblical text at a certain point in time, it states that 200 of those Watchers chose to come down to take for themselves human wives, becoming the fathers of the Nephilim. Again, all in an attempt to overthrow God and destroy his creation, so that it would be just God and the angels like it used to be. But they saw that men had families, and they wanted that for themselves as well. So, they knew what would be the result of their actions 100%. But they did it anyway. Now, these 200 watchers, according to Enoch, were more than enough to have relations with human women and breed an entire race of hybrid beings, part human, part spiritual being. Understand that these angels not only wanted the glory of what they did, but they also wanted the fame. They wanted to rule, as did their offspring. That's why the Nephilim are called the men of renown, the men of fame, because many of them ruled as kings on earth. If these angels could come down and have human women give birth to giants, then what could they cause animals, maybe? These angels wanted dominion, and the earth was completely defiled. And now God saw that it was not good. So now God is left with no choice but to start from scratch, just so he can preserve one of his masterpieces, mankind. So here comes the flood. In the days of Noah, it was hell on earth. Much, much worse than what human beings experience today. Unfortunately, we are headed in that direction with no turning back. Once again, if you look at this biblically, nothing outside Noah's Ark survived the flood. Nothing that was alive survived outside of Noah's Ark. Everything was buried in water. Did that destroy the angels that came down? No. But it did seal their fates and get them locked up, leading to their eventual destruction. The Book of Enoch is a mystery within itself. It was not considered to be a canonical work or inspired by God, even though Enoch walked with God. Now, one of the reasons it was left out of the standard Bible was due to its controversial content. In the Bible, we only get a snapshot of the Nephilim story. But in the Book of Enoch, we get details. Details about fallen angels, their names, how many of them came down to earth, 200. Details about how they taught men the secrets of the universe, forbidden knowledge. Details about how they took wives, pretty much any woman they wanted. Not to mention how the Book of Enoch implies that many of these women were compliant in that act, and how those women gave birth to giants. And I mean super giants, over 400 feet tall. It even gives details about the angels' punishment. Punishment so severe that it made the other angels in heaven look at each other and go, "Wow, did you see what God just did to that guy?" No angel in his right mind would even dare to try and ruin God's creation ever again. And part of this punishment was that these fallen angels would have to stand by and watch their children, their families, be destroyed. The Nephilim murdered each other in a 500-year war. Giant versus giant. Now remember, Noah was a descendant of Enoch, and he was the only man that God thought was worth saving at the time. Other people on the planet knew of God, but they didn't know God. Only Noah, him and his family. So, if the giants were all wiped out by the flood, how did they come back? Well, the Bible says that there were giants on the earth in those days, and also after that. Then, when the sons of God came in amongst the daughters of men, which could be interpreted as multiple times, you see? Because when it happened was stated first. Then how it happened stated segment. Now, if you've been keeping up with giant news, some think angels are going to try and do this again. But why should they? Why should they breed more children only to have them destroyed again? We have stories that secret black budget projects are hiding giants underground in stasis or suspended animation in efforts to create human hybrid super soldiers. They've already found many giant skeletons all around the world. The public catches wind of these findings and the skeletons then disappear. Folks, they're going to bring mammoths back. And they're trying to bring dinosaurs back. And it seems we have human beings helping these demonic entities do the same thing all over again. So, I don't know where we're going, and I really don't know what we're going to see in the near future. Now, I wouldn't worry about having to fight against giants in the future, but we are definitely going to see some strange things indeed.
At Old National Wealth Management, our team approach puts together your game-winning financial plan.
Cool. So, who's the quarterback?
Your wealth advisor.
And the running back?
The private banker.
How about a wide receiver?
How about a financial planner?
You got any cheerleaders?
That would be our clients.
Okay, I'm game.
Old National Wealth Management, where relationships and results matter. Get old. Old National Wealth Management investment instruments are not FDIC insured nor insured by any other government agency. Are not to offer other obligations of Old National Wealth Management, Old National Bank, its parent company, or affiliates, and involve investment risk, including positive loss principal.
Tires matter. When the only part of your vehicle is
That was funny.
For expert recommendations, we know exactly what you want. Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard
You fucker.
installation options, and the best selection of hand-cooked tires. Go to
Oh, that looks cool coming out of his chest.
hand-cooked test results, tire ratings, and reviews. And be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be. Tires matter. When the only part of your vehicle that touches the road, tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Yokohama tires. Go to TireRack.com for Yokohama test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. The way tire buying should be.
Come see me on tour in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Atlanta, Raleigh, North Carolina, Spokane, Tacoma, and Levittown, New York. Videotapes.com. Got special guests with us returning. Douglas McGregor, a popular political commentator, a retired U.S. Army colonel who served as senior advisor to the acting Secretary of Defense under President Trump, has served on the board of U.S. Military Academy, and is currently the CEO of Our Country, Our Choice, a media company that aims to unite like-minded Americans. He recently launched the Substack at McGregorWarrior.substack.com. Douglas, thank you for accommodating my schedule as you always do. I appreciate it, and always appreciate this. This is my that's my Judge Napolitano.
I wondered about that. I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad to have you here. I wanted to, of course, go over the news that's all over the place. So I just wanted to, this was from April 28th. It says U.S. spy agencies asked to analyze how Iran might react if Trump were to declare victory and back away from military operations, right? Well, so that was on the 28th of April, and Trump had launched his new, what is it called, the Freedom Flotilla, whatever it's...
Project Freedom.
for Project Freedom, where he was supposed to be using Navy ships to escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz. But it turned out it didn't work out because from the Hormuz letter, the cargo ship that Iran attacked one of those cargo ships that were being shepherded through by, and it says the cargo ship attacked by Iran in the Strait of Hormuz yesterday has been identified as a French-owned. It's attempting the U.S.-backed crossing and designated route by Trump with AIS transponders switched off. UKMTO hid the locations to avoid admitting the U.S. route isn't safe. And then Trump, 4 hours later, he canceled Project Freedom after that happened. And I just wanted to, the vessel that was hit by Iran tried to follow the U.S. route through the strait. After the failure, Trump suspended his project. And, well, here it is. Here's Trump saying that based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, the tremendous military success that we have had during the campaign against, sounds like Joe Azuzu if you're old enough to remember what that means, against the country of Iran. Additionally, the fact that great progress has been made toward a complete and final agreement with representatives of Iran. We have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force in effect, Project Freedom, the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed, and that's signed by President Donald Trump. And here's Marco Rubio. Here's him saying on Tuesday what the United States wants.
As President Trump has said, the facts clearly bear out. The United States of America holds all the cards. There is no scenario here in which if they decide to join a ladder of escalation, they wind up getting the last say. But our preference is for these straits to be open, to the way they're supposed to be open, back to the way it was. Anyone can use it, no mines in the water, nobody paying tolls. That's what we have to go back to, and that's the goal.
So, if you don't know what he just said is, we had to start a war so we could go back to the way things were before we started the war. It's genuinely one of the most absurd foreign policy statements I ever heard. And here is kind of like Donald Trump is, this is from the Austin Powers movie. This is him trying to get out of the Strait of Hormuz. This is what it kind of looks like. So, let me, that's kind of funny, but let me just cover it real quick and we'll get your response. This is from Axios. U.S. and Iran closing in on a one-page memo to end the wars, but then, that was from Tuesday, then today, Trump's surrender deal was immediately dealt a brutal blow. A report that U.S. and Iran are nearing an agreement on a one-page memorandum to end the war was met with almost immediate pushback despite President Donald Trump claiming progress. Iranian officials and the president have been sending a series of chaotic and mixed signals since Trump announced on Monday that he was pausing Project Freedom in the Strait of Hormuz. Early Tuesday, Axios reported that the White House believed it was getting closer to a memorandum of understanding to end the war and set parameters for nuclear talks, but a senior Iranian parliamentary official threw cold water on the idea. And what he said was, Axios' text is America's wish list until it becomes reality. America will not obtain through a failed war what they failed to gain in face-to-face negotiations. Iran has its finger on the trigger and is ready if they do not surrender, if they grant the necessary concessions, or if they and their devilish allies try to act mischievously, we will deliver a harsh and regret-inducing response. So he came back. Here's Trump's latest. This is from today, right? He says, assuming Iran agrees to give what has been agreed to, which is perhaps a big assumption, that already legendary epic fury will be at an end, and the highly effective blockade will allow the Hormuz Strait to be open to all, including Iran. If they don't agree, the bombing starts, and it will be, sadly, at much higher level and intensity than it was before. So let me just get what's your response to this back and forth by Trump and the Iranian officials?
I think we elected P.T. Barnum as president.
Sounds like it, right?
He seems to think that every American is a sucker. Obviously, the Iranians are not suckers. The last thing that I was sent was a message that the Iranian government had directed everyone to evacuate all official buildings, government buildings, hotels, other structures. I think they anticipate that the war will begin any time.
Now, I've read Larry Johnson's Substack, and he said there's credible reports, meaning not confirmed at all, that the plan is to start the war again on May 7th, which would be tomorrow. Do you have any information? Can you talk to that?
Larry could be right. His source could be right. I was asked earlier today, and I said I think within 48 hours something's going to happen. The Iranians have already attacked targets in the United Arab Emirates, which has been a not-so-secret Trojan horse in the Israelis for a long time. I think the air defense networks are up and running. And as I said, the Iranians have already instructed everybody to go below ground and hide out. So my suspicion is it's coming. But is it coming tomorrow or the next day or the next day? I don't know, but it's definitely going to happen. What else can they do, Larry? I mean, this is like Laurel and Hardy's running the State Department on behalf of Trump. It doesn't make any sense. We go from one silly thing to the next. We claim victory every other hour. We tell everyone how many alleged ships have been sunk. I mean, the Iranian Navy didn't have much of a navy to begin with. The Iranian Air Force hasn't really been a significant player since the Shah departed. I mean, none of this stuff matters. It doesn't, it's one unending sort of flow of crap that comes out of the White House. I don't think anybody with a brain is going to believe anything that the White House says anymore.
And now I've been pontificating on social media about what would happen if Trump does restart this war and starts hitting civilian targets inside Iran again. What do you think will happen if Trump does restart this war and starts bombing Iran?
Well, I think if you follow this Jeff Curie, who writes excellent work for the Carlyle Group on oil and gas, he's tracking every conceivable trend that you can imagine. He says that by July we'll have pretty much run through what's left of our petroleum reserve. We'll be close to the bottom of the tank. I think the whole world is in a lot of trouble right now and is running out of petroleum products. This morning I received a note from a friend in India who says it's $118 a barrel for oil right now in India. And I guess jet fuel is up to $250 a barrel. Surprise, surprise that so many, aircraft are sitting on the ground that are not flying. Nobody can afford it. I think we're in a lot of trouble. And, diesel is extremely problematic now to develop. And everybody talks about, we have fracking, but they don't understand that what we frack, we can't actually refine. So we sell the results of the fracking overseas, and then it's refined as a special form of oil into gasoline or something else. We've got 70% of our farmers who say they can't afford to buy fertilizer. We've had a 50% spike in fuel prices across the country. I think we're talking about disaster as it stands now. Now, if we go back to bombing, I think instead of recovering within the next 2 to 3 years, we won't see recovery for at least a decade. And what Curie is saying, and I'm hearing this from many, many people, we're going to head into a global depression if we have another phase of bombing. We won't. Right now, we're going into a recession. Our recession is probably going to be
somebody take them out, please, before that happens.
As well as famine and a lot of other things. So
they don't punish me anyways if you let them do it. So somebody close to them, please, just do it.
All the tankers that left the Persian Gulf were full of petroleum and other products, fertilizer and so forth, and aluminum, you name it. They've already arrived. So now we have a permanent disruption if we restart this war. And I see no evidence that we're not going to do it. It doesn't seem to me that President Trump understands
just dive bomb them.
Consequences of what he's doing.
Somebody dive bomb them.
Pretty nice, but those hot
one of the chefs poisoned him. And his pilots crashed the plane. Somebody take one for the team and save the rest of us, please.
Get for free sale. Imagine replacing all of your windows with new energy efficient ones and getting half of them for free. Plus, you can even get them with no money down and no monthly payments or interest for 2 years. Don't wait to put an end to your window problems. Sale ends soon, so visit Window.Now to book a consultation.
Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Goodyear tires. Go to TireRack.com to see their Goodyear test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be. Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of hand-cooked tires. Go to TireRack.com to see their hand-cooked test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
So, no one's telling him? I mean, I know that most of the people in the room, when he decided to start the war in the first place, were against it, except for Hegseth. Even Marco Rubio was against it. The head of the CIA was against it. General Kane, everybody, J.D. Vance, everybody was advising Trump. He only listened to Bibi Netanyahu. Do you think he's listening to anybody else now except Bibi?
Well, I don't want to rain on your parade, but I think you ought to consider the possibility that these people who claim that they said they were opposed to something may have said something along the lines, well, boss, if that's what you want to do, we got it, we'll go with it. You know, you might think about something else. I'm not sure this is the right move, but you know, I'm with you. I think that's what people say. You know, this business of standing up and telling somebody that's a disastrous idea. Nobody does that. When Ian Brenner flew into Baghdad in March of 2003, and he announced, well, whatever else you heard, forget it. What we're going to do is we're going to dismantle the Iraqi army, dismantle the Iraqi state, dismantle the Iraqi bureaucracy, stand down the police. We're going to rebuild this country from the ground up. It's going to become the first liberal democracy in the Arab world. It's going to be friendly to Israel and all this sort of business. Only one man in the room said, I'm concerned, Mr. Bremer. And he said, what are your concerns? He was a full colonel in the chemical corps. He was the only man that said anything. Everybody else sat there and said, well, you know, okay, this is tough. And Dave Petraeus famously said, well, you know, downsizing is hard to do. And everybody walked out of the meeting. And after the meeting was over, everybody stood around outside and told journalists, oh, I think this is a really bad idea. This is something we shouldn't do. But when it was their turn to stand up and take a firm position, they didn't do it. So I'll be frank with you. I don't believe most of that.
Well, I'll be Steve with you if you'll be frank with me.
Most of the people in the White House live in fear.
I don't see why we're playing this game.
The people that are working of it have told me that. They're afraid of him. He blows up. He doesn't like facts that get in the way of his preferences.
And so, my theory is that what Iran has promised, and what Scott Ritter has also said, that if Trump restarts this war, that they're not going to respond proportionately as they have been so far, that they're going to go for the jugular, and they're going to go right after the desalination plants inside the Gulf states. And as we know, that's where 70% of their water comes from, if not more. And so, do you think Iran will do that? And will the result of that be the complete desertion of those countries? Because in 72 hours without water, you have a humanitarian crisis. So they're going to. Do you think that Iran will do that at their desalination plants? And will there be a mass migration from the Gulf states if that happens?
The short answer is yes. When this war began, 67 million people living from the Iraqi border all the way down to the border with Oman States. Think about that. And Saudi Arabia, 67 million people. I don't know how many people are living there now. But you don't necessarily have to destroy the desalination plants if you've already destroyed the power grid and the source of the power and the oil infrastructure. You can't run a desalination plant on thin air. It needs to be fueled. You have to have power sources. So if you destroy the power sources, it doesn't make any difference. So I think that's exactly what they would do. Now, if we are also attacking their oil infrastructure, their power grid, and their desalination plants, then I guess the Iranians will respond with the destruction of the desalination plants. But basically, if you don't have power, it doesn't make a great deal of difference.
So it's the same outcome either way. If Trump, so now Trump must know this, no? Or do you think there's a chance he does not know this? And if he does know this, does he just not care? I mean, the Gulf states. Okay, let's just answer that. Let's take it one step at a time. Do you think Trump knows this? And if he doesn't know this, does he don't know this? Does he not care?
He may have been told something like this, and he may have said, "I don't believe it," or "I think you are exaggerating." I mean, those kinds of things are quite possible. People that in the Soviet hierarchy, the Soviet General Staff, before they went into Stalin, were always told, never tell him how many casualties we sustained. Don't bring it up. So nobody ever said the Soviets had X number of casualties, they only reported German casualties. You have that kind of atmosphere, is what I'm told. You can't go in there and tell him things that he absolutely does not want to hear. And you're still dealing with Roy Cohn's student. I remember what Roy Cohn told him. You know, attack, deny, and whatever happens, we declare victory and take credit. So this is not somebody who's predisposed to listen to the hard facts. He certainly doesn't admit that any decision he
Wouldn't they be the one haranguing Trump and getting in his ear about this? Like, hey, we're going to get wiped out if you start this war again and don't do this?
Well, the GCC already warned you what could happen, so he's aware of that. But I think what he's told them is, look, we'll come, we'll be back, we'll win this, we'll get everything back, we'll help you rebuild, on and on and on. I think that's what they were told. I think there's not much they can say in response to it. I think the UAE is a little different than the rest because the UAE has actually encouraged him to do everything in his power to utterly destroy Iran.
Is that because the UAE is the closest Gulf state with Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yes.
And
you know, they've also signed up for dollar swaps. Remember, they stepped out of OPEC very recently. I think all of these things the deal will the truth is, you're looking at 10 years of total, no recovery for 10 years of this entire region as a result of this war if he goes forward with another massive air missile campaign. That's a foregone conclusion. Everybody says that. And Larry, we're not going back. The 27 plus bases in the region were completely destroyed, as the Washington Post has now finally admitted. I guess the CIA told them to tell the truth. As a result of that, we can't rebuild all those things. We don't have the money for it. We can't afford it. And why would anybody living there want us to come back? We've turned ourselves and them into a magnet for attack. We can't defend them. That's being ably demonstrated.
And as I pointed out here on the Jimmy Dore show and said on social media that you would think the people like the money people in the United States, the bankers, the Wall Street people, even Silicon Valley, a great amount of that oil money that comes out of the Gulf states goes directly into our stock market. And now if they get wiped out, they're already not able to make money off oil currently, And so the money that would have gone into our stock market is not going in, which will probably cause some kind of a crash on our stock market soon. And if it's wiped out for 10 years, so I guess my question would be, wouldn't the money people and the tech people in the United States, along with the Gulf states, be screaming at Trump? And do you agree with what I just the scenario I just laid out?
I think the scenario depends on what do these people know about military power? What do they know about warfare? The answer is nothing. And what do they listen to? They listen to Trump. We are the greatest military in the world. We can do anything. There's nobody that can compete. Okay? In some areas, that's going to be true. In a lot of areas, that's not true. They don't understand that with the weapons at our disposal, the forces that we have, really forces that were designed to refight some version of World War II, are not the right answer to the problem that we confront. We can't fix this with military power. I've had people say, "Oh, you're wrong. The Navy and the Marines, they'll take that straight. They'll occupy it. It's all done." How do you explain to someone that the Iranians don't have to occupy anything? If you move a ship into the strait that they do not want to move through the strait, they're going to pick that up instantaneously thanks to persistent surveillance from space-based intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance. That data will be sent instantaneously to missile systems, cruise missiles, tactical ballistic missiles, unmanned systems. Those will be launched, and that ship will be damaged or, if necessary, sunk. They don't understand what's going on. It doesn't have to be a little Iranian man standing on the edge of the waterway with an AK-47 and an RPG telling you to stop. That's not necessary. That's not how this works. We're not prepared to deal with this. We haven't been prepared for this for 30 years. Back in 1997, I published a book called Breaking the Phalanx. It talked about exactly this kind of thing happening, saying your offshore naval power will be driven hundreds of miles away from the shore, because if they come too close, somebody's going to launch a missile, and it's going to be very difficult to defend against the missile. I used, at the time, it wasn't Iwo Jima, it was Okinawa. I used the example of the kamikazes at Okinawa, and I said, how many ships were damaged, how many were sunk, how many thousands of people were killed or wounded? Well, it was enormous. You had 26, 27 ships that were badly damaged, 23 sunk, so forth, thousands of people. And these were just manned cruise missiles flying at relatively slow speeds. Now you're dealing with missiles traveling at hypersonic speeds in many cases. And you're dealing with large numbers of them. How do you defend yourself against that? You don't have enough missiles to fire in response to defend yourself. So what does the Navy do? The Navy very intelligently goes out into the sea. It moves 300, 400 miles offshore because it doesn't want to be tanked. People don't understand this, so they think we can do things we can't.
Hey, here's another great way you can help support the show. You should become a premium member. We give you a couple of hours of premium bonus content every week, and it's a great way to help support the show. You can do it by going to Nintendont.Now, clicking on Join Premium. It's the most affordable premium program in the business, and it's a great way to help put your thumb back in the eye of the bastards. Thanks to everybody who was already a premium member, and if you haven't, you're missing out. We give you lots of bonus content. Thanks for your support.
Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Vredestein tires. Go to TireRack.com to see their Vredestein test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. Tire Rack is the way tire buying should be. Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Goodyear tires. Go to TireRack.com to see their Goodyear test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
May's weather is pretty nice, but those hot summer days will be here soon. Don't wait until the heat hits to try and avoid high energy bills. Upgrade your home's windows this month during Windows Nation's Buy 4 Get 4 free sale. Imagine replacing all of your windows with new energy-efficient ones and getting half of them for free. Plus, you can even get them with no money down and no monthly payments or interest for 2 years. Don't wait to put an end to your window problems. Sale ends soon, so visit WindowNation.com now to book a consultation.
Hey, guess what? Speaking of failed media enterprises, Ben Shapiro at the Daily Wire has fired half his staff in mass layoffs. Yeah, because they've lost 85% of their YouTube audience since last year. I wonder why. Maybe Ben Shapiro should come out and tell people, fuck you, you don't get to live in your own neighborhood you grew up in anymore, you asshole, and you shouldn't be able to retire. He should tell them more stuff like that.
Fuck you, Ben Shapiro. You fucking
psych. Down on our free speech rights and all the stuff and tell students to shut up. And, but you know,
yeah, you shut up, little fucking you fuck.
Yeah, never
You shut up for once.
But they have lost 85% of their viewers. But the consolation prize is Ben Shapiro's eyebrows have grown 85%. They've grown 80% of confidence. Isn't that nice?
He's got a greater eyebrow problem.
You know, once the rest of his audience has bailed on the Daily Wire, he's going to be a fur-covered wolfman in the Ukrainian sea, where he can finally start making some real money.
That guy's got Hitler mustaches for eyebrows.
Ben Shapiro from the rap, Ben Shapiro's Daily Wire. Frequent layoffs across numbers of teams, largely from Nashville's headquarters. Ben Shapiro, right-wing media company, confirmed the layoffs, saying that the impacted staffers span a number of teams and that the layoffs were largely concentrated at its Nashville headquarters. Today, the Daily Wire made a difficult decision to restructure the organization, which, the reason why is because you're a failing enterprise. Right? The idea that they were going to be able to make it without Candace Owens is like the idea that TV USA is going to be able to make it without Charlie Kirk.
How about that great story they were supposed to make that came out? The traditional non-LGBT way.
That's right. So, I like at the end he says, we are deeply grateful to those impacted. Their contributions were instrumental in building the Daily Wire into what it is today. What it is today is a failing media empire spiraling in the wrong direction. The statement continued. The cuts were largely concentrated at the Nashville production office as the company has invested in new... Oh, yeah, they're just switching their focus. It's not that no one's watching them anymore because everyone is turned against his favorite country, Israel, which he cares more about than the United States. Over the last year, we have added production staff in D.C., the Northeast, and Florida. This step allows us to focus our resources on the ambitious, the double C case, and ambitious slate, new entertainment project. Yeah, we're going to do, now that the old ones have failed, we're going to try new ones. So they're running on fumes and donor money because no one's watching their show.
Did you see what happened? They're making an action movie with that guy from Marvel that beat his girlfriend, and then they picked him up. And he got brutally injured crashing through a plate glass window because they don't have union safety standards.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that.
We don't like unions there, so like the guy's all messed up now from crashing through. It wasn't the fake glass, it was like the real glass.
But just to show Ben Shapiro's gratitude towards the team, the people he's had to lay off, he has, in a symbol of gratitude for them, he has agreed to give gag answering phone messages for each fired employee.
This Ben Shapiro is absolutely ridiculous.
Candace Owens, who worked at the company until 2024, also commented on the layoffs of the former employees. She hinted that at least 50% of the company's staff was affected. Hearing that the Daily Wire laid off 50% of their staff today as much as I positively despise what their execs put me and my family through, there's a lot of good people that work there and their families feed. They could use our prayers. Okay. These cuts at the Daily Wire are the latest for the company. The last round of layoffs at the media company came in March of 2025. The layoffs at the Daily Wire are the latest in the entertainment and media sector. A couple of weeks ago, Disney announced layoffs totaling 1,000 people across Marvel, its PR division, and home entertainment. Axios and Netflix also announced layoffs in March. And Netflix too? Oh, I thought they were doing so good just a couple of years ago. You know, as long as they don't lay off all the brand new comedians with 15-minute specials of comedy material that they can milk into a half-hour special. Am I right? The Daily Wire is a case study of why personality-driven media companies can't compound. Peaked in late 2023, Shapiro's YouTube alone pulled in 170 million monthly views. Daily Wire plus subscriptions, Nashville studio operation, Berkeley Kids streaming, and an e-commerce arm with razors and chocolates and cigars. The company was running $1 billion conservative Disney bet. Then they made the studio bet bigger. That's what you're talking about, right? The Pentagon cycle,
the Pendragon cycle,
Pendragon cycle, and Arthurian fantasy series of the kind that has bankrupted larger production houses. Benke trying to compete with Disney for kids' attention. Daily Wire Plus chasing Netflix, running a newsroom, a film studio, a children's streaming platform, and a private label consumer goods business simultaneously requires either limitless capital or an extraordinary discipline. Some of it worked. Matt Walsh's Am I Racist was the top grossing documentary of 24, but most of it didn't work.
No kidding. I didn't know that was the top grossing documentary of 2024. No kidding.
I didn't know it either. In March of 24, they parted ways with Candace Owens. She walked into the open market and built a show that competes with theirs. In fact, blows theirs away. She's the #1 audio puck. Today, we have 5.5 million YouTube subscribers and added 10.9 million followers across all her platforms since January 2025, generating roughly 805 million views in that window.
I'm coming after you now, for sure.
Its biggest distribution asset into its largest competitor. Kind of like what the Young Turks did with this show. Early 2025, Jeremy Boring stepped down as CEO and launched a solo podcast.
Already. Dang it. Shorty's Angels, whatever your name is. Like it.
Then the audience math hit Shapiro himself, 170 million monthly YouTube views in late 23 to roughly 22 million in early 25, an 85% collapse in 18 months. Another 60,000 subscribers gone in the last 90 days. Layoffhedge.com estimates cumulative workforce reduction above 60% over the past year. Wow.
Why did he call it the Greater Boring Project?
No kidding. Tucker Carlson left Fox in 2023. He kept his audience, runs his shop with a fraction of the headcount. Megyn Kelly's network drew 138 million YouTube views in February alone. The personalities figured out they don't need the platform. The platform discovered the opposite, which is what I was telling Chris Hedges all along, and he finally took my advice and started his. He's killing it now. I've told him you don't need a billionaire funding your voice on independent media, and he figured it out. Daily Wire built $1 billion valuation on names that can walk, take the audience with them, and run a competing show from a laptop. The next morning, 170 million views to 22 million. The company kept the overhead, the audience left with the people. So Candace Owens tweeted this out. Very good read. I would only add that the Daily Wire also suffered in the end from a Ben Shapiro problem. Any plan to save the company would have had to include him stepping away as the public face of it. That's just the reality. His brand has become toxic to growth. 100%, no kidding.
What about Vivek Pastrana as replacement?
He's going to be the new governor in Ohio. so he can screw over workers even harder. Reports that the Daily Wire has fired half of its staff because no one wants to watch their lame-ass propaganda. Ben Shapiro and the Israeli Wire are reporting financial difficulties and cratering viewership. They were selling Israeli Wire memberships for 50% off. You couldn't pay me to watch that garbage, and there it is. There's Candace Owens giving the sign above his grave.
Did you see the I was in the New York Post, I think, about the Jesus phone, which is a phone that blocks pornography or something for Christians? Here's the thing.
The Jesus phone, that sounds like something off that comedy show.
So basically,
God
just giving
damn.
Israel your porn viewing habits.
What kind of neurotic shit is that?
Zionists the biggest porn producers in the world anyway? They own all the
They own
porn.
both sides of the game of the war, usually, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
They're that bad controlling themselves.
You
They're
create the
hopeless
problem
anyway.
and you sell
Holy
the
shit.
solution to it. Isn't that's
Just let the government control your phone since they already rule
Obviously
anyway. Do
invented
that.
the virus and then he sold you the
My
vaccine,
different-
isn't it? So that's called a
success.
That's called a
It's
scam.
my different theme, so to speak.
That's called a scam. So Ben Shapiro, good to see him sucking the big bag of dicks.
Big bag of dicks, nice.
He really is
It's like a big bag of dicks.
He may be the most unlikable. He is.
What the fuck
he
is that
he makes
shit?
Erica Kirk look like a good time.
Control yourselves and learn how to use your own shit.
We do impressions of him, and Kyle's not
Dumb
like
fucks.
he doesn't know all the ins and outs of these people like that, but he's just so twerpy. He's got this whole twerpy
Nation of retards and addicts.
He's the worst, dude. And his eyebrows, I don't know, do whatever with them, but I don't think it's helpful.
I don't know what do you do? Let's see his eyebrows again. They're I don't.
Those are his war eyebrows. You know, he's back to ceasefire brow. You see his plumage extends when he's under threat from Iran.
Yeah, that's what.
Hello, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. Are you looking for a powerful cleaner that removes tough grease and grime from nearly any surface? Simple Green gets the job done safely. With hundreds of uses around your home, yard, office, or garage, this versatile cleaner is your secret weapon for spring cleaning. In fact, I'm so certain you'll love Simple Green that if you aren't 100% satisfied, I'll refund your money. Try Simple Green today.
When you send a business gift, you're doing more than saying thank you. You're recognizing a moment, expressing appreciation, and making a statement about your brand. With 4imprint, that message lands with certainty. With thousands of customizable products from premium apparel and branded drinkware to smart tech, bags, and thoughtfully chosen office items, 4imprint helps your brand show up with the kind of care people remember. You can tailor every detail, your logo, your message, your look. And with thousands without a setup fee, it's easy to create meaningful moments without added cost. You'll also get expert support, dependable service, and their 360-degree guarantee, so you can be 4imprint certain your gifts arrive exactly as intended, on time and on brand. Because in a season built around appreciation, the right gift should say it all. With confidence, care, and attention to detail. Explore gifting with certainty at 4imprint.com.
4imprint for certain.
Hello, I'm Bruce Fabrizio, inventor of Simple Green. Are you looking for a powerful cleaner that removes tough grease and grime from nearly any surface? Simple Green gets the job done safely. With hundreds of uses around your home, yard, office, or garage, this versatile cleaner is your secret weapon for spring cleaning. In fact, I'm so certain you'll love Simple Green that if you aren't 100% satisfied, I'll refund your money. Try Simple Green today.
Russia just banned the dollar from its energy trade with Europe. All future oil and gas deals, Russian rubles or Chinese yuan only. No dollars ever again. So Europe sanctioned Russia to protect the dollar system. Russia just removed the dollar from the Europe. That is shocking.
Now we got them.
Again, having
Whether we want to or not.
unintended consequences. The international security state and the WEF dollars thought that they were going to be able to crush Russia and break it up and balkanize it into pieces, and then BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard could buy it up.
Get them out of the way.
And it didn't happen. In fact, Russia is stronger now than ever before. gluten has got a higher popularity ratings than ever before, 75, 80% popularity rating. And he's closer together with China, and now they're trading oil and not the dollar, which is the worst outcome for the United States because our whole economy is based on the petrodollar.
Yep.
And when that goes away,
Alright.
our currency devalues and our ability to print money. If we're no longer the reserve currency of the world, everything's we can't sanction people. We lose all our power, and our economy crashes. So just
Then we're going to be forced to invade
the craziness of Europe in general, because they're doubling down. They want more war with Russia. And if you have any ideas on why that is and what's going to happen, go right ahead.
Well, just in the last 24 hours, King Charles III, has been speaking in the presence of Donald Trump, and has been making plain his belief, his opinion, that we being Britain and the United States have to stand firm in support of the brave people of Ukraine and
shit!
the citizenry of Ukraine. God help them and God bless them. The ordinary people that have had this thing upon them. The Zelensky regime, that is what I mean by Ukraine in this context. The fact that the king, whose sworn duty is to look out for his subjects, to protect
the generator.
To be the defense in many respects.
Like what?
And he's basically
I don't know the names. Ain't that thing in the working. The children.
I just find that once again that he in this context is again playing out of the Valentine playbook. He was invoking, in the aftermath of 9/11, how we came together, with unity, and he was also playing the greatest hits of the Second World War and the First World War. How we stood shoulder to shoulder at that time. It's too late for the latest iterations of these people, the monarch in Great Britain, the President of the United States, the President of the European Union. It's too late. Too much has changed, and too many people are aware too much for them to keep on banging these same drums. You invoke 9/11 now, and too many people say, yeah, you mean the one that the CIA knew about? You mean the one that George W. Bush knew about? You mean the one that Israel knew about in advance? You mean that 9/11? Too many people hear those so-called conspiracy theories, and you invoke the Second World War, and by now too many people say, oh yeah, the one that you mean in the aftermath, there was the Bretton Woods Agreement that pinned the dollar to gold and pinned every other currency then to the dollar, which then set the pattern towards towards everything else that has happened in the name of the dollar. In World War II, where Britain went to war to liberate Poland, at the end of the war, that wasn't protected.
You pussy, you could have finished that generator in his face. You didn't respect my effort, I don't respect your effort. I'm out of here.
In the Second World War, Operation Paperclip lifted thousands of Nazis, war criminals, out of Germany.
You play with yourself, you little faggot nerds.
For the rocket program, into academia, and into every walk of American life. Too many people have those responses now, and yet we all still have to sit back and watch the latest monarch of Great Britain and the latest president of the United States of America invoking the greatest hits in expectation of the kind of response they used to get. When are they going to realise that those days are over? That on account of
Ugh.